Hey guys, Artosis here, bringing you some more Pro Gamer ladder replays. This particular game is going to be RoyaL, who is an ASL champion, as well as one of the strongest, most innovative Terrans in the world, going up against Sacsri, who is a very underrated Zerg, despite still being rated within the very top. I think he's someone that can absolutely set upsets against all the other top pros. But not quite ASL champion quality, I would say. Now, that being said, I don't think that this will be some sort of like one-sided affair here from RoyaL. Like, I don't think he's just going to have an easy time and, you know, cakewalk his way to a victory here. I think Sacsri can give him like a real run for his money. In fact, Sacsri is someone who, by the way, is a StarCraft 2 champion. And in one of Flash's ASL runs that was like really, really well done, Sacsri was one of the only guys that could take maps off Flash at that point. Like he made some great strategies. And I remember one game in particular on this map where Terran was in this position where Sacsri utilized, I believe it was Burrow to beat Flash, if I'm remembering this correctly. But yeah, very cool stuff from him. A very strong Zerg, micro, macro, everything. So I think it's going to be a good one. Thank you guys very much for checking out ArtosisCasts. Hope that you're enjoying all the ladder replays. I'm actually really enjoying just going out and choosing random games of pros. You know, like not seeing them ahead of time. I have no idea what the quality is going to look like, but we've had some real gems popping up, honestly. Like, I don't know if you guys all got to catch that Light versus Queen game, but like a completely new strategy that Light seems to have an idea about. Like, I don't know if that's going to be something that becomes regular, but if it does, we'll all remember that we saw him do that on the ladder a very long time ago. But yeah, looking forward to seeing some RoyaL replays. He's actually someone that I wanted to grab a few games from. You know, maybe, I don't know if they'll all be in a row or anything, but like, you know, checking out a bunch of RoyaL games just because he's one of the most innovative Terrans, right? Like, Light has come up with a bunch of newer builds and stuff, but RoyaL really tries to push things forward. Like, he uses ghosts a lot more than anyone else. When I say a lot, I had to change it to more than anyone else because he barely uses them. But there was a period about 2 years ago where he was like basically utilizing ghosts a lot, like really trying to make them work against Protoss and against Terran. And yeah, it hasn't really worked out for him yet, but I love to see the innovation. He's also come up with, I mean, there's just all sorts of things. Like RoyaL, actually, before he even really got well known, when he was just known as Sorry, I used to watch his stream a lot because he does come up with very different things. Like, this one's going to sound maybe a little bit more boring to you guys, but like, for instance, in Terran vs. Terran, when he goes gasless expansion, he had this interesting thing where he would build extra Marines and extra slow vultures to bust some of the pushes people were doing at the time against that type of build. But anyways, I'm a bit of a RoyaL fan. He's really fun to watch, and we'll see what he's got here. So far, this is looking really, really normal. Like a 2-Rax Academy opener. He's actually making 4 Marines right off the bat here. Which you can do, but he might stop Marines after 4 then. Let's see. Because you get supply blocked otherwise if you're doing a very fast Academy rush, right? Like, the actual build order is like 2 Marines, 2nd Rax, Gas Marine, Academy Marine. But you can reorder that, right? And make the 4 Marines right away, and the Gas and the Academy will only be seconds late, right? So you can kind of have those extra units sitting there if you're feeling like you want to pressure. Like there, he saved his SCV from the Lings incoming and maybe made Sacsri think he needs to make a few more, and in fact, he does. So kind of some interesting things already. I like the reordering of popular builds to fit the situation. It's always fun to see. More Marines coming out as that command center's finished. Academy is almost done. Sacsri over here, almost done Zergling Speed, has his Spire started. We don't see the 3rd hatchery yet, but it looks like it's going to be up here. And look at that, RoyaL ahead of him. Gets up there before the drone. I love it. I love to see it. The Ling's going to come over and clean out that SCV now. That has to be annoying for Sacsri because this is absolutely where you want, in these positions, your 3rd base to be. It's super easy to defend. Whereas if he goes up here and like takes this spot, RoyaL might literally win the game because Sacsri has a less defended 3rd. Well, he takes this one, which actually, honestly, in these spawns, this is more defendable than here because dropship play is incredibly strong against this base on a 3-player map like Sylphid. So, Sacsri does the best he can with what he's given here. We have a single creep colony on the way for Sacsri. Looks like he's a little bit nervous about this move out here from RoyaL. RoyaL's not pushing super hard. I think he knows that they're, like, Sacsri was wanting to put a third base down. He is walking forward now. That one's sunken, being made. Oh, is he not going to start a second? He's going to have to bring these Lings back to fight then. Because this seems like RoyaL might still have the timing to do some damage. Let's see now. He does have range on the way. A third barracks coming up. There's +1 on the way as well. Okay, the Lings come up and stall him out a little bit, so it seems like the mutas are going to pop just as the Sunken dies. But as the Lings come up, maybe he can slow him even a little bit more. So RoyaL is going to try this push, turns around, does start attacking those. And yeah, this is what happens when you don't make double Sunken. It was a little bit greedy there from Sacsri. Normally you have 2 and the Terran just turns around. Here, we'll see if he actually does damage, though. No drones have died yet. That's incredibly important. He loses a muta there. A little bit painful. He did lose his Sunken. He is losing mining time, so those are not nothing. Not necessarily the end of the world, but not nothing as well. Loses a secondary muta. So I gotta say, if I'm RoyaL here, I'm happy with this overall. If you kill 2 mutas, cost that lost mining time, there's no Sunkens left, you know that there's no Zerglings on the map. You put all those things together, and you're feeling pretty comfortable as Terran. So yeah, I think Sacsri trying to be a bit more greedy there, and that does not pay off for him. Now, he has got, you know, drones making, for the most part, a few more mutas as well. Definitely wants to add at least a couple Mutalisks into this, and that's exactly what he's doing. Notice how it's exactly 2 coming across, because he is trying to make that 7 group that can one-shot SCVs. Very important number to have. The factory is going to be finishing up here pretty quickly. That's a nice, fast factory. Some decent turret placement here. Sacsri taking his third base gas. So is trying to get that economy going a little bit more, and +1 attack on the way for Mutalisks. So it seems like Sacsri is going to focus on Mutalisks for the time being. And let's see where RoyaL wants to go with this. You know, will he go double starport? It seems that way. Yeah, he brings up a second SCV, so I do think that that's going to be the case. Yeah, throws that down there. His little group out in the front. Ooh, gets a pick off and deals some additional damage to Sacsri's mutas right there. Looking back at Sacsri's base, Hydralis Den is almost done. He does have quite a few mutas that are still hatching here. He does have the 3 gas, and there's that Queen's Nest. I like the hidden Queen's Nest that can make you misjudge. Like, let's say you scan and you just see mutas popping, you don't see the hive started. You might think, oh, maybe there's a siege tank timing here. But with the Queen's Nest hidden, if you try that, there's a possibility they have defilers out, and then you're suddenly a little bit behind because you went for those siege tanks as opposed to more science vessels. So Sacsri flying around with these mutas. Let's see what he gets done. Pretty decent group here. 10 flying around. The lurker upgrade we can see on the production tab is coming up. Science facility as well. Here we go. A full group of mutas now, but hasn't done that much with them. RoyaL with a kind of small group out here. Ooh, that was a very quick turnaround right there. Really good control from RoyaL. You can see Sacsri having a little bit of a hard time with these Mutalisks. He's like looking for weak points, and there's not a lot. Like, you can see the Marines at like certain angles. Sometimes you can get them. But, you know, the turrets are pretty well placed here overall. We have the double science vessel coming. Irradiate, I'm sure, will start very shortly. +1 armor already on the way after that +1 attack. Sacsri back up to a full group of Mutalisks. Looking back at his other bases, looks like he's getting ready for a couple lurkers there. A few lurkers here as well. The hive coming up. By the way, it is important to have a sunken with your lurkers. If you have only lurkers, it's so much easier for Terran to break. You know, the sunken takes a lot of hits. You can't, like, you want to spread your Marines in an arc and attack. And if it's only lurkers, then they will not, well, obviously they won't attack a sunken at all because there's no sunken there, but the amount of extra damage that lets you put onto those lurkers quickly is immense. So just wanted to point that out. Maybe that's something people didn't realize, is that when you have lurker defense, you do want at least 1 sunken there, and oftentimes more. So over here at Sacsri's base, going for the Defiler Mound. He has +1 Carapace coming up. You know, I look at this game and it does look a little bit better for RoyaL, but it's not like Sacsri's dead, right? He's not, I wouldn't call him like necessarily behind. He's got this healthy base. He's got good defense. Look at the Overlord over the 2 lurkers, so you can't really irradiate those. and a Nidus coming up. So the next thing we should be seeing out of Sacsri is a 4th base, which will probably be here because he has the front defended. So then he only has to worry about drop ships in this range, right? But I could see him trying to take here. If he gets a little bit of map control, he could take this as an additional base, which becomes pretty unbreakable. As far as RoyaL goes, we still are on just 1 engineering bay. He's gone up to 5 barracks. He's got 2 starports. So everything looking pretty good. Starts his 3rd command center at a nice time here, about 10 minutes and 30 seconds. Hasn't put a lot of pressure on, honestly. You know, not that he can do much, right? Like, you can walk out, but what are you going to do? You're going to break those 4 lurkers with the sunks and the spore? Or are you going to break these 3 sunkens with 4 lurkers there? No, you can't really break anything, right? But he's making a couple drop ships after his first 4 vessels. He's got that command center going up. And one thing I'll be interested to see is how quickly is he going to get that 4th command center? You know, where are we going to see the extra barrack adds go up? Okay, there's one right there. But you can definitely, if you take a mineral base like this, like you need 8 barracks realistically. And that's even at the pro level, you're going to need at least 8 barracks to try to spend those minerals down. Now, in Irradiate onto those Mutalisks, I really love this type of play from RoyaL. Like, he's showing some really good fundamental understanding where he's like, okay, we're just going to defend everything for a little bit, reduce that Mutalisk count. That can be a very important thing. You know, Mutalisks are kind of the enemy of innovation for Terran a little bit, right? Like, Mutalisks answer so many questions that Terran poses to Zerg. So to reduce that amount, it makes your drops stronger. It makes any siege tanks stronger, right? It gets rid of some options for Zerg, like we've seen more recently, like from Sulky, a lot of later game Guardians and things like that. Either way, another nice Irradiate. He gets the drop off around the Scourge, and this base is going to be ended. Nothing you can do about that. This is what I was talking about, where dropships are super strong in these situations. Bring some bio up to the front. You know, he has a bunch of vessels here. He has like a very well-placed set of Marines. This is going to be something you want to clear with Plague for the most part. Throws a Darkstorm down. Whatever. This is honestly more of a Plague situation. In fact, that's what he's getting ready for. Excuse me, up to 150 energy, but he gets irradiated, so just throws down another Darkstorm. A little group out here. This is just to watch incoming counterattacks. That's all this is for, because this doesn't really beat anything other than, like, maybe if this group of Lings came out, maybe you beat that. But yeah, you're just kind of making sure that you do not die if they come out with, like, you know, 4 lurkers and a group of Lings and a Defiler. Right? It's going to slow that down and give you the heads up so you can move other units to intercept. Now, he's gone up to 7 racks, it looks like. Double engineering bay is a go. And there's that 4th command center. So very, very healthy economy right now from RoyaL. He is getting plagued a little bit. As I mentioned, that's how you would clear something like this. There's no real reinforcements for this. It's just kind of chilling for a bit. Drone comes up. He definitely wants to take this base. Oh, that's a little bit annoying. He still needs to send some more units in there. And, well, you can see how bad Plague Marines truly are. Some more Scourge coming as well. So, actually, Sacsri getting some pretty sick kills. But another couple dropships. Well, it is the original 2 dropships coming in. And notice how many fire bats he's loading up into this at this point. Really fantastic play here. Really amazing fundamentals from RoyaL, showing just how strong he is. Now, the 4th command center is up. More vessels have been made, more racks being added. As he gets this additional gas, he'll want another starport as well, no doubt. Sacsri is still trying to clear this area. And I mean, yeah, Plague goes down, that'll injure some of it, but he needs to bring a heavier hitting army, I think, right? Like, this has become such an issue. And don't forget, the reason this is happening is because he sent an SCV here in the early game, and Sacsri didn't want to wait. He didn't want to wait for his Lings to come and clear it out. He didn't want RoyaL to know already where that additional base was, because remember their initial Marine move out? That could have run up here and killed this instead of going down here, right? So Sacsri was also kind of trying to hide what was going on. You know, it's crazy how much a tiny move like that echoes throughout the game. Because now we're in this, like, absolutely insane position where RoyaL is gaining a pretty big advantage. Ooh, that's a sick Plague. That was a really good Plague. Man, gets just about everything. There's like 1 Marine there that didn't get plagued. The Zergling should be able to kill this off, but he's got to, you got to attack kind of all at once. Yeah, he still is going to be able to get it. Still has this little group. Looks like Ultras are joining. But don't forget, these Ultras are being made off of 3 gas. So it's like, okay, we have Ultras, and we have some Defilers, and we have some Lings. Carapace upgrades, honestly, not that good. He needs that second Carapace. As far as RoyaL goes, he's going to have +2 attack. Yeah, I just finished. So he's actually going to trade favorably with the Ultras. The Ultras need Dark Swarms or Plagues with them to be effective here. Look at this. Another base, a 5th base here. Still offloading a lot more units. You know, he can't quite break. Like maybe... Nah, I don't think he'll be able to kill that. But Sacsri going for a little bit of a counterattack into this 5th base. Some great irradiates go off. Honestly, you can just lift this off. You can just run your SCVs away. He is going to lose a bit of bio here to those very tanky Ultralisks. But, you know, he's got 4 or 5 bases. So, not a big deal. Also, by the way, Restoration. Oh, my God. Something you rarely see upgraded. Rarely, rarely. A lot of people ask about that, actually. Let's talk about that for just a second here. You know, a lot of people are like, hey, is it worth it to use Restoration on your Plagued Vessels? It can be. If you have the energy on the medics, obviously that can be good. The Restoration upgrade does take a long time to research, and it's not that expensive. But, like, if you Restoration them, like, let's say when they're around 80 health, right? They're going to die to 1 Scourge still, but yeah, they won't die to, like, Mutalisk Glaive bounces. So you have to remember to get Restoration. You have to have medics that have the energy. You have to have them nearby, and you have to have the time to spend to hit the Restoration on it, like splitting the vessels up and everything. Absolutely, it's a good upgrade. Is it underused? Probably a little bit. Probably a little bit. Could it be a little bit better without breaking the game? Absolutely. Anyways, Irradiate's going down like mad. A lot of Plagues being cast here by Sacsri, which I think is very important if he wants to have a chance to win this game. He definitely has to kind of grind it with spells like Plague and like Darkstorm, and he is doing that a little bit. Sacsri has this additional base up. He has the gas mining, which is the most important aspect. We have +1 ship weapons going on, though, here for RoyaL, who's got double starport going for his battle cruisers that he's going to be fielding here. I would love to see a Restoration on a battle cruiser, I have to say. That's that would be the dream come true here, right? Would be amazing to see something like that. Again, you don't see it too often, but definitely can be worth it in that case as well. So you see, obviously, you know, the vessels, they were plagued earlier. That Muta came in, killed quite a few. And, you know, you can look at that in hindsight and say, well, he should have repaired. But, like, this is a very fast-paced matchup. It might not look as fast, but when you're playing it, like, look at this, right? 330 APM, 380 APM. And they are actually utilizing those, too. Like, they are running around everywhere, macroing heavily. It's really hard to stop and repair these vessels. So I do like the idea of having both the Restoration and Repair to be available here for RoyaL. But, you know, you gotta balance that with everything else. Now, pretty decent Ultralisk force. He does have the +3 carapace coming, but +3 attacks going to be done first for Terran, so still going to be a little bit strong in that regard. Love seeing some fire bats in here, but obviously they don't trade well against Ultralisks. The 2 BCs kind of going up into this area. Now, Spores are actually extremely good against BCs. And, oh my god, if that SCV blocks. Even 1 SCV block is so strong against Ultras. But down goes a Dark Swarm, so it looks like this base should be knocked out. A lot of Irradiates start to go down. And as you can see, the Spore slowing these battle cruisers immensely over here. We'd actually like to see them back up into a defensive posture on this base, maybe. The irradiated Ultralisks continuing to deal damage all over the place. Getting into these mineral lines will be extremely strong. Look at that. They're going to deal so much splash damage here with those irradiates. It almost buffs Ultras at this point. And he's just going to have them live. Look at that. 8 health, 21 health left over. Killing a lot of SCVs down here as well. Still a solid economy. In the meantime, a little bit of a counterattack. Looks like he did knock out a new Sacsri base here. But Sacsri going to deal with that while expanding once again. And uh-oh, mass spores here, pushing back those battle cruisers pretty darn quickly. But a good combo with battle cruisers is to pair them up with drop ships to come in and do things like bust these spores. And that looks to be what he is planning now. You know, RoyaL's taken some serious damage. Look at this. The command center blowing up and everything as well. But does Sacsri have enough left over here? Well, he's killed this base completely. This base barely mining. Almost out. Almost out. This base kind of important, but doesn't have a lot left over here. Another plague goes down there by Sacsri. Moving forward right now. And, well, Sacsri saves this base. Utilizes some more Defiler spells. It looks like the battle cruisers were killed. More attacks coming down. More plagues being cast. Dude, Sacsri's done a fantastic job. It really felt like he was behind in this game, but he's still got a lot of gas being mined. He still has a lot of quality units coming out. Kills off yet another command center. So this is basically it as far as economy goes for RoyaL there. And GG is called. Sacsri takes down the ASL champ.